Hello and welcome back to the Prieto Show. This episode I am super excited about because I am talking about something that I'm pretty good at. Like, it's one of the things that you can't come at me for, and that is motherhood. This weekend is Mother's Day, and so I wanted to do an episode about motherhood, some advice, some rambling, some story time moments. Get excited, folks. Get excited. If you didn't catch the very first episode when I went all about me, you're welcome. I talked about the fact that I am a mother of 4 boys, yet I'm also very glam myself, crazy, chaotic way. Because if you didn't know, I'm not a regular mom. I'm a cool mom. Although I feel as if this should say glam mom, because that's how I feel. I'm not a cool mom. I'm a glam mom. Shorty, can you go get my polka dot purse, please? Yeah, that's so much better. Now I can carry on. When I was growing up, I never wanted to have kids. So the fact that I have any children at all is quite amazing. But the fact that I have 4 boys and I'm super glam and I'm myself is very strange. It's interesting. It's unique. And I feel like that is one of the most asked questions when someone meets me, when someone sees us out. It's like, oh, did you wish you had a girl? No, I did not. Because here's the thing. I spend time getting glammed. I spend time picking out an outfit. I spend time doing all of the things that make me feel good. And if I had to then times by 1, times by 2, times by 4, oh my gosh, could you imagine? No, I wouldn't be me. And so I think that God was like, I've got you. This is what you need so that you can continue to be you, do you, love you. Do you know what I mean? I just couldn't imagine putting on big bows and picking out outfits and all of those things. I just could not imagine. So if you're a girl mom, kudos to you. The first time I had children, I had twin boys, and I hear so many women say, how did you do it? I have one, I'm barely hanging on, I'm barely keeping my sanity, etc., etc. Truth be told, I've lost my sanity numerous years ago, probably when I had them, which has now been 11 years. So she's going on 11 years of being insane. And that is one of the things that people don't talk about when you have a baby, when you become a mother, is that you lose your sanity. They call it mom brain. They call it baby brain. They say, oh, they sucked the brain right out of me. And all of these things are completely true. And as years go on, the older that you get, most of you will recover and get your brain back, right? But some of us, the select special few, will not. No, we won't. And so you have to continue living your life thinking like, what is wrong with me? Am I hitting early on stage dementia? Like, is this going to be a forever thing? And I'm sad to say, I feel like it's going to be a forever thing. It just is. So I feel as if there are a couple of things I can help you with when it comes to motherhood, how to keep your sanity, all of the above, etc. The first thing that you need to understand as a mother is that you have to take care of yourself first. And I know what you're thinking, that sounds extremely selfish. And it is, as it should be. And here's why. You know, like the whole mask thing, they say when you're on an airplane, put your mask on first. You can't help anyone else if you don't put your mask on first. It's true. It is so dang true. And here's the thing. Most of you will not understand, learn, respect, appreciate that knowledge until you've hit your breaking point and you're like, who am I? I don't even know who I am anymore. Like, where did my life go? I feel like I'm just a mom and that is it. Because you've done so much for everyone else that you can't even figure out who you are, like identifying who you've become. So one of the things that I love to do is to get really in depth, really personable, really connected to me. I know it sounds selfish, it sounds ridiculous, but it's true. And I feel like it's so many women, especially. I mean, men, I guess, sometimes do this like midlife crisis, um, but women do it in a very particular um psychotic way where you're like, everyone owes me everything, and because I do everything for everyone. And instead of being like, girl, take some time to focus on you. That is why you feel lost, that's why you feel frustrated, that's why you feel so stressed out, is because you don't even know who you are anymore. You're identifying as a mama and as a wife and as a this and a that, instead of being like, this is me, I'm a badass woman, and here's what I do. My children are then second, or your spouse. I mean, come on. Just depends on your situation. But that's what you need to do, is get back in touch with yourself. And I know, like, for myself, it's after I had my kids and I was lost in the chaotic world of diapers and everything else, I'd be like, I don't know who I am anymore. I feel like I've lost me. I'm sure you can probably identify that. I would say that quite often. Like, I don't know who I am. I've lost me. I don't know what life has become. And my husband's like, boop, you're right there. You're not lost. You're just not in touch with who you are. If you don't know, my husband is the old man, and he is one of those like cut you with a knife people, like hit you where it hurts. And that's why I love him. He grounds me. He keeps me sane. But he's also cutthroat, you know. So you have to understand that, like, you literally cannot pour from an empty cup. But here is what I feel is what happens when you don't start taking care of yourself, is that you can be doing so much for so many people and never feel like you have time for yourself. And it's not as if you're looking at the cup half full, half empty, however you want to say it. It's the fact that there is so much in your cup. There's so much on your plate. There's so much responsibility, priorities, to-do lists. That's all of the things. And you don't realize that you then are drowning in everyone else's stuff, and there's nothing for you. And so you feel suffocated, or so you feel like you are literally searching for air, like needing a breath. You are drowning in your own chaos and misery. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I think that's one of the things that they really need to teach you when you become a mother, is not like this changing diapers and this is how you feed and you squeeze your nipple this way and like all of those things. Like, okay, yeah, it's important. But I think what we really need to learn is that you need to take time for yourself, whether it's taking a nap, taking a shower. Now, when your children are older, it's like, okay, get back to you. What is it that you enjoy doing? What do you love to do? What do you need to do to really start taking care of yourself and not just everyone around you? Mm, mm, mm. Water just tastes better when it's fancy, okay? So that's what you need to do. Take time for yourself. There are 24 hours in a day. If you cannot take time for yourself to either work on your goals, your health, take a hot bath, journal, read, watch The Housewives, then you have no life, and you need to look at your priorities and fit some time in to do the things that fuel you, that do the things that will take off the stress off of your plate. And another thing too, don't come at me being like, I don't have time, like I have all these things to take care of. Like, your children, when they are old enough, should be helping around the house. We have so many lazy people nowadays, like lazy. I feel like so many children, especially, they don't know manners. They don't know how to take care of themselves because we're doing everything for them. And I call BS. Your children should be able to do their laundry, do the dishes, take out the trash, get themselves ready, all of that stuff around age 5. Yeah, mine do. Mind you, does it mean that I don't have to nag them into it? Absolutely not. But they can take care of themselves, which gives me more time in my day to focus on me, to refuel, to do the things that I need to do to get done, because I am not their little mother slave. Like, that is not how it works. I did not birth you for that reason. I birthed you so you can become rich and famous and powerful so that I can retire early. Kidding, not kidding. Let's move on to the second thing, which is finding joy. Finding joy. when it comes to finding joy, I find it in multitudes of ways, but one being that I feel better when I am glam. I feel better when I am in cute clothing. I feel better when I'm accessorized. I feel better when I have on a fun lip. Like, that is my jam. That is where I find joy. For some of you, it's doing yoga and staying in your stretchies all day. Some of you, maybe it is working, wearing a power suit and feeling badass. I don't know what it is for you. But for me, I feel like it is something that just really helps me to look at the days and find the joy. Like, literally find the joy, not in my children, but in myself. What makes me feel happy? What makes me feel joy? And of course, they say your children, like, that's your pride and joy. And yeah, they are. It's finding joy in the every single day, not in your children, but for you. Find time for yourself and then do something that brings you joy. Do something that brings you joy. I know that I had kids like super close together. So my twins and my younger child, my middleest child, are 2 years apart. But I literally had 3 babies under the age of 3, all in diapers. And it was a time. It was a time, okay? And so I feel as if I didn't get to appreciate, soak in, and really enjoy motherhood in that time because it was so stressful. It was exhausting. It was all the things. And so now that I'm older, now that my children are older, I feel like now is the time when I'm really truly soaking in all of the moments that I want to cherish, all the things that I'm like, I love this. You're amazing. We'll remember this always, right? Except for the times like when they're sick. I don't remember. I do remember those and I don't cherish them. It's like a nightmare that keeps me up at night. Can we just talk about the fact that if you're a mother and your child has a tummy ache, all right, you're like, oh, my poor baby, like, I don't want you to be sick. No, I don't play that game. I am immediately like, go to your room. Here's the throw up box. Don't look at us. Don't breathe on us. Don't touch us. Like, I get psychotic. If you get sick in my house, I am immediately upset with you. Why did you not wash your hands? Who did you get around? What did you eat? These are the things that come to my mind. I'm not like, oh, my baby. Like, I get pissed. Ask my husband. I will nag him to be like, you need to eat to feel better. Or I will nag him to be like, you need to drink water now. Drink the water. Go to sleep. Like, I'm like one of those psychotic women. I get psychotic, like downright insane, frustrated when someone is sick. I take it personally. I now have like a whole pattern of things that we do when someone is feeling sick, homeopathic tricks where I'm like, no, we're not going down this road. Swallow this, pop this pill, do these things. And then as the parents, we also do the same. Like, I take certain things, I do certain things. Let me just tell you that the best cocktail for when you or your children are starting to feel sick is tequila and emergency. Just do it. Just do it. Whatever is lingering in your stomach, in your brain, in your whatever, it will kill it. It will kill it. And it will make you feel better. Okay, so that's just a little trick from me to you. But speaking of sick kids, so one time, and this was like probably the worst time ever, is my children and my husband, but not me, God blesses. And they all got the flu on Christmas. Yeah, the gift of throwing up. We obviously had to cancel everything. That was fun. But the worst was my youngest, I think was about 2 at the time. No, he had to be 1 because he wasn't even walking. He was still crawling. 1, he threw up in his little baby bed, then dragged himself across the carpet towards the door while throwing up. So he was covered in throw up. The rug had a throw up streak across it, like a racing stripe on chonies, but it was a racing stripe on the carpet all the way to the door. Like he was trying to come for help, but he was so weak and just kept throwing up that he couldn't do it. And I didn't even realize he had thrown up until the next morning. So everything was crusted. Everything was like caked on. But that's not even the worst. The worst is that my boys sleep in bunk beds, okay? And it's the full-size bunk beds. And I had one of the twins was above, and he had thrown up in the middle of the night, and he's on the top bunk. If you can imagine, it sprayed everywhere. He threw up over the side of the bunk and just chunks everywhere. Everything was everywhere. And the worst part about it was not just cleaning up little particles of stomach virus all over the carpet, the furniture, and everything, but he had thrown up on his brother, his younger brother, who was sleeping below him. I had to quietly, gently wipe off his face of stomach virus chunks and then switch out his pillow that was then covered in his brother's vomit and try not to wake him up. He was covered in vomit. So I had to clean the kid, and then I had to clean the room. So if you're on the fence about having children, do it. They're a blessing. It's not always pretty. Motherhood is not a fun, beautiful, angelic moment at all times, especially if you're a mom to boys and you have a lot of farts, a lot of burps, a lot of Nerf guns, fighting, ninja, dirt, worms, guns, I don't know, like all of these things. And if you're a girl mom, you're probably like, yeah, but you don't have sassy attitude and like whiny and throwing fits and stuff. And you're right. I'm very glad. I'm very blessed. Knock on wood. Thank you, Lord. I don't even remember what even brought on the sickness thing. Oh, cherishing moments. So even in that moment, I could cherish the fact that I will never be here again. I will learn from this lesson and I will become a better mother because of it. But I also know that life goes so fast. There's so many things that you're missing that you don't appreciate in this moment. And I look back at life, at the years of them growing and the experiences and the challenges and the frustration and all of those things. And I'm like, there's so much that I wish I either would have documented or that I would have appreciated in the moment instead of getting upset, frustrated, annoyed, etc., etc. So I think if that's one thing that I can say is just enjoy it. And I know they say, oh, it goes by so fast, you're going to miss it. And in the moment, I'm like, no, I will not miss shitty diapers and throwing up and all of the things that stress me out. And I don't miss those moments, but they are stories now that I'll have forever and that I will hold over their heads until they are old or I am in the grave. Do you remember the time? Like, don't come at me. Don't give me attitude. I birthed you. I carried you. It's a whole thing. You ruined my stomach. You ruined my body. And that is it. You know what? That's another thing that you have to think about when it comes to motherhood. Your whole body just goes to shit. It just does. And there are those people who just bounce back like no other. My bestie is one of them. She literally had first of all, she birthed her own daughter. She had a Kourtney Kardashian moment, pulled her own daughter out of her own hoo-ha. And then after, she had an immediate six-pack. It's sickening. It is sickening. It is rude. It is not normal. And then there's other people like me, and I have a forever kangaroo pouch. Like, you literally could fit another child in there. It's like floppy skin that's like loose and free. And it's like, this is where the baby used to be. And my son, my youngest now, because he doesn't fully understand manners yet, he'll push on and be like, oh, is there another baby in there? It's so squishy. And, you know, sometimes it makes me very upset. And other times I'm like, you're cute. And you know, another thing that people don't talk about is your nipples. Your nipples will never be the same. Never. They will never be the same. And I feel like it's one of those like spinny wheel things where you're like, it's like Russian roulette, like what you gonna get? Because you could have had the most perky, beautiful boobs with like the precious little like itty bitty little nipple, like so cute, so like forever that amazingness. And then you get pregnant and then you nurse and they turn into like banana nips, pepperoni nips, bologna nips, sausage nips. You know what this is reminding me of? Pizza. I feel like that's what it is. It's like the Russian roulette of pizza nipples. Like, what topping are you going to get stuck with for life? Unless you cut them off. What are you going to get stuck with? You know? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It's something we don't talk about. You know what else we don't talk about when it comes to motherhood? And this probably doesn't happen to everyone, but it happened to me because I had twins. They were both huge. They were almost 7 pounds each. Hemorrhoids, the gift that just keeps on giving. Yeah, I've heard that's the most painful surgery to have them removed. Yeah, no thank you. No, thank you. I would rather suffer with hemorrhoids than have that massively painful surgery. No. And on top of that, I went to my gyno for my normal yearly PAP. What a joy. What a treat it is every year. And this last year, he said, "Oh, I see you still have hemorrhoids." Thank you, doctor. Thank you for catching that, knowing that there's nothing you could do about it, nor can I unless I cut them off. But thank you for bringing that to my attention. Twins. What a joy. And then my friend and I were having lunch today. We like to have lunch when the kids are in school. It gives us a time to like get together, talk to someone that's not a child. And we were talking about like trash shows, drama shows, like really reality shows that are not really reality, but she was saying that she loves Teen Mom. And I'm like, no, like the last thing I want to see is like teens getting pregnant. I could not. No, no. It's not for me. It's not the vibe. It's not what I want to do. I want to see the Real Housewives. I channel Erica Jane as much as possible because guess what? It is expensive to be me. And when she really touched my heart was when she was like, "I'm not that type of mom," where like taking him to the drop off and like picking him up. And then she was like, when she becomes a grandma, she's like, "I'm not that person to like do school pickups and such." And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I feel it. I feel it on a deep, deep level. And I know I'm going to be that glam ma and not just a glam mom, but I just don't think that I could handle it for like another, I don't know, 30 years, if not longer. Maybe within those 30 years, I will cherish and be like, "Oh, little baby, I would love one." But I just feel like I did so many diapers and so much growing and so much responsibility with not just my kids, but myself that I'm just over it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm over it. Like if I see a pregnant woman walking down the street right now, I feel bad for you. That's the level of motherhood that I'm at right now. Like I'm not like, "Oh, how exciting, what a precious time in your life." I'm like, "Oh, girl, you got a long road ahead of you. The next 5 years of your life are going to be like a comatose state for you. Good luck." Like, that's the attitude that I have when I see someone who's pregnant. Like Britney Spears being pregnant right now. I'm like, I'm happy for you, but ew. That is how I feel. It's too much. It's too much. You know you're done with kids when that is how you feel. You know you are done having kids when you threaten them like there is no age limit on dropping you off at the fire station. Thank you very much. It's a real threat, y'all. And is there an age limit? I don't think there really is. I don't think that there is. Especially becoming a mother, if you're having your own child, like if you're birthing your baby, you didn't adopt or do the what's the thing, surrogate thing, like that would have been a dream. I would have loved that. I would have had a million kids because I'm like, I don't have to have them. Do you know what I'm saying? I have them, but like at the end result, because by the time they even come, I'm worn out, I'm flabby, everything is loosey goosey, and my brain is nowhere to be found. And then you want me to change diapers, not sleep through the night, and take care of a human being? No, it's too much. It's too much. And then those people who are like, I used to be that mom, that woman, when my kids were younger, and I'd be like, oh, motherhood's a dream. And then I would see someone without a kid and be like, oh, when are you gonna have kids? I used to be that mom. Used to. You should have a baby. Like, they're precious and you're getting older. Like, that's how I would be. You should have them. And now I'm like, don't have them. If you don't want kids, don't have them. Don't do it. It's a lot of work. It's stressful. It's everything you can imagine it would be. And that, my friends, is when you know you are done having children. But honestly, motherhood is a trip. Motherhood is something that you cannot even imagine. If you are a animal mother, that is similar. That's similar because I know animal moms who were like, oh, my animals are my life. And you know what? I had a dog before we had kids, and she was with us for almost 14 years, like long time. Her name was Coco Mimi's. And, we loved her. I would dress her up. I still did a couple years ago before she left us. And I mean left us, meaning like she literally ran away. And perhaps this is why, because I used to dress her in matching outfits with me. And I was like, come on, Coco, we're going to get glam. And then I would document it. And so maybe that's why she did run away. However, I feel like she really appreciated it because she would sit there. She would put on her glam and sit there like the diva I know she was. Anyways, we're getting off subject here. And so I had her, and she was our little diva. I loved her. She slept with us. She was amazing. She was a little baby. And then we had babies. We had real human babies. And she was like, bye, Felicia. I could not care less about another being. In a matter of like however long it took me to have my babies. Actually, it took like over a week to get us home because it was a whole dramatic thing. Which again, then takes me to another subject that you forget how painful, how stressful, how agonizing, how exhausting it is to be pregnant and then to have the babies. Most of pregnancies are really difficult, and most deliveries have complications. They do. Look it up. It's scientific facts. And so for me, my twins, it was very traumatic. And then I had another, and every time I was pushing, it was pulling, the cord was wrapped around his neck 3 times. And so it was literally like choking him out every time I was trying to push. And then my last, who was almost 12 pounds, my blood pressure tanked and we had to rush me into emergency C-section. So, I'm just saying that you go through all of that. And about 1 year later, when your brain cells just finally start coming back to life, then you think, how precious. I wish he was just itty little Betty again. And I really want to have another. Yeah, that's what happens to you. So then you get knocked up and then you start the whole cycle again. You're like, isn't it funny? I totally forgot about almost dying. I totally forgot about getting cut open from vagina to butthole. Like, you forget about all those things. From your choco to your taco. You forget because little baby pickles and little baby fingers with the little jam and the little fuzzies in between, and smelling them and holding them, and them not being able to move, to talk, to do anything without you. It's like, oh, love it. That's psychotic. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it is just me, but I have a feeling it's not. But that's how it is. That's motherhood. That's motherhood for you. And I feel like you're always going to worry. Like, I have boys, so I worry about, now that they're getting older, like puberty, and like, don't touch anyone, especially if you're just like tapping on the shoulder. No one likes to be tapped. Like, you have to go through this whole psychological like mind twist of society standards, hashtags, and all of the things in between of what is acceptable and what is borderline acceptable and what is just not acceptable. There's so many different levels and variants of it that you don't even realize like how stressful it is to raise a kid. And then if you have a daughter, I've been through a hell of a lot. So then I'm like, you got to be really worried, really careful, teach her all these tricks, like make sure she can kick ass, take some names and all that stuff, you know? So it's a lot. It's a lot. My youngest, though, he came home the other day and he said, Mama, I have a date tomorrow. He had a date. He is in TK. That's pre-kindergarten. Okay. And he was like, I have a date tomorrow. And I go, with who? And he's like, oh, with Cambria. And, you know, I just said, oh, oh, okay, so when is this happening? He's like, at recess. I said, well, then what are you going to do on your date? We're going to have our snacks. And I'm like, okay, okay, like you can't argue with it because it's innocent, it's cute. But he was like, okay, so I need a ring. And I'm like, a ring for what? Well, we're going on a date, so I have to give her a ring. And I said, well, you don't have to give someone a ring on the first date. Like, that's kind of not how it works. But, you know, he's adamant because he's 5. So he really thought that he needed to have a ring. And so we talked about it, and I tried to get him to understand that, like, it's going to be a minute. I mean, at least 6 dates before you're even thinking, considering getting a ring. And then on top of that, he said, I hate to tell you this, but I have to move out. And I'm like, why do you now? You just needed a ring. Why are you moving out now? He said, well, we're going to get a house. I said, so you're going to get a ring. Does that mean you're getting married? Yeah. Okay. So now you need a house? Yeah. I can't live here. And I'm like, right. So when you move out into this new said house, which I'm sure will be more glamorous than ours, how are you going to pay for your bills? How are you going to afford food? Like, what are we doing here? And he's like, I don't know. I'm going to clean or some things. So obviously you're not there yet. And so let's just take this one day at a time. So he went, he had his little date. It was super cute. He loved it. We're in love. Everything's fabulous. The next day he comes home and says, oh, mommy, I had another date with 2 girls. So now I have 3 girlfriends. Say what? So now it's a whole conversation of, well, we only date one hoe at a time, and I don't appreciate that everyone's moving in on you. Like, let's take this back 20,000 notches, okay? Chase each other, have a great time, and then you leave, and we don't even think about girlfriends. Like, this is ridiculous. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's hard because he's cute. I get it. He's really cute. And he's a personality and all of these things. But if this is the problem that we're having in TK, how is it going to be in high school? Although on the flip side, maybe he gets it out of his system now and he's not even into girls. Like, we're not even starting that conversation to like high school, college. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's like, been there, done that. I had dated 3 girls at one time. I'm good. I'm good. That's my hope. That is my hope. That is my yeah, that's just my hope. That's my hope. I don't know. This is totally getting off subject. So my whole point of this is that motherhood is amazing. I'm sure that grandmotherhood is even more amazing because it's less work and more fun. But we're all in this together. And something that I absolutely hate, is when a mom cuts another mom down. Please don't. Please don't. I don't care what the subject is. I don't care if you are have clash of views. I don't care any of that stuff, because what I care about is the fact that we are all just trying to do our best, literally trying to do our best. I have had many times where women cut each other down and in front of me, and I'm like, oh, no. It happened once where I was like, I'm so uncomfortable that I don't even know what to say. But at that point, it's like, no more. Like, you can't cut each other down. I don't care what the subject is. I don't care what it, like, don't give each other advice either, unless you're asking for it. Unless you specifically say, I need advice. If she comes to you and she's like, oh, I'm so stressed out, the baby didn't sleep last night, this is not an opening for you to be like, do you know what you should try? Do you know what you should do? No, you wait till she divulges, till she throws up, till she word vomits everything out of her system. And then, and only then, if she then says, oh, I don't know what to do, do you have any advice? That's your cue to come in at it with advice. Otherwise, just sit and nod. Yeah. So hard. Oh, I agree. Leave it at that. That's my parenthood feeling. You know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm saying? We all have enough stress. We don't need your stress on top of ours. Like, there is a lot of parental advice that I don't agree with. But I know there's a lot of people who wouldn't agree with what I do and how I parent my kids. But to each his own. We are not here to tell you that you're a bad mom and that you're doing things wrong. And I think that's one of the most painful things when it comes to friendships and motherhood, is that it opens up that can of worms. Like, you can say and do whatever you want. And it's like, no, we might be in the hood. We might be in the sisterhood of the motherhood together, of the traveling diaper bag, but it doesn't give you authority to tell me exactly what I should do or not do in my parenthood. No, it doesn't give you authority at all. And most of the times we just want someone to listen, someone to understand. We don't need the advice. Most people, when you give them advice, guess what? They don't even take it. No. I have many videos, many times when I tell people what they should do to live their best lives. And those are the ones that don't get views. They don't want to hear it. Don't tell me what to do. But here's the thing. I'm really good at giving people advice. I love unsolicited advice. Like, let me tell you how to fix your life and to fix your look. Let me tell you, I would love to. That is a key opportunity for me. My husband, like, he says I'm a nag, but literally it's just that I'm really good at a lot of things. And so I'm trying to help him to be better at certain things. So I nag him, like, put that away, throw that away, do this and that. Like, he don't like it, but I'm really good at it. I'm really good at it. But I'm also know that when it comes to motherhood, like, I don't want someone telling me what to do with my kids. Mine are not yours. They all have different things, different ways, different mannerisms. Back in the day, I used to have a mom blog called The Motherly Escape, because I'm very like, I'm like Martha Stewart, but more glam. And I'm really good at crafting. I'm really good at designing. I'm really good at cooking. I'm really good at all those motherly things, or like, woman. There's just, I'm good at some things. Okay. And so I used to do The Motherly Escape, and it was just a fun way for me to like try to get back to figuring out who I am and what I'm really good at. And it's funny because I stopped for years because I felt like I couldn't. Anyways, and through having that mom blog is kind of what started like my whole journey of figuring myself out and feeling free to experiment and try new things. And what I loved about it is that it forced me to stop being just a mom and start looking at life as a whole. Like, who am I independently, not as a mom, as a wife, as a sister, as a daughter, as a whatever. Like, who am I? And I started to get down to like the root person of who she is. And I'm not going to lie, it's a little scary up in this brain because she thinks some big crazy things, but it's also very fun. It's very chic. It's a moment, you know? And so I just encourage you to do the same. And I called it the motherly escape, number one, because I couldn't think of a name. And my husband was like, it's the motherly escape because you're a mom and you love to escape. And I do. I do. I love an excursion. I love a trip. Get me out of here. The motherly escape. Get me the hell out of here. And you need that break. You need the independence. You need to breathe. And I feel like having an escape, a trip, a moment, a shopping excursion, whatever it is for you, it helps you to just recenter yourself and get back to feeling whole versus feeling like you're scattered in like a million places. And let me just tell you, having kids at home and while you're working at home is exhausting. And I know what you're thinking, this is not work. I know, Felicia, but I've had a full-time job for almost 20 years and worked from home for about 13, 14 of those. That's a long time. That's a long time. Like, I deserve to retire already. Why am I not rich and famous yet so I can just not be? You know? This is a really great question. Huh. It's a long time. Anyway, so I know how it is to have your kids at home. And so getting out of the house it's necessary to get your butt out of the house. Even if you meet a friend for lunch, if you don't have money, meet at Wendy's, do the dollar menu. Like, just get your butt out of the house. Helps you to recenter, refocus. Now, trust you me, I love a brunch. And so that's what I prefer. I actually had a lunch today with a bestie and we went to one of the most expensive restaurants in town and we just had too much fun because that's how we live our lives. But there was many years when I could not do that. I couldn't afford to do it, but also because I had so many priorities. I had kids at home and I was working full time and all of the things, right? But just getting out of the house helps you so much. Regardless of what you do, while you're out, you have to get out. Also, you know, they say that you are an accumulation of the 5 people you spend the most time with. After years of being a mother, 2 young children, that phrase, that saying, that lesson really hits home with me because I feel like for so many years, and even still now, I will like speak and it just doesn't form a sentence. Anyone else? Like, that's the way that my brain works. Like, there's a screw loose somewhere. And so I realized that you become like the 5 most people you spend the most time with. But I had 4 boys under the age of 10 that I spent my days with, my entire time with. So yeah, she's a little immature. She's a little bit like off her rocker. She's a little screw loose. She's a little ditzy. She's a little out of control because those are the people that I spent the most time with. Like, hello, where are my millionaire, badass mama entrepreneurs? Those are the girls that I need to be spending time with. Okay. But if you're home with your youngins and you're like, you know what, you're right. I feel like I can't put a sentence together and I haven't showered in days and I just don't care what I look like. That's because you are becoming like the people you spend the most time with. And that is scary. Scary. So make sure that you break free. Make sure that you escape your motherhood so that you can get a little bit of sanity, get centered, get back to you, boo. Okay? But I feel like there's so much as a mother that you can learn from your children. I have learned so much from my kids. They push me, they motivate me, they encourage me to be the best version of myself that I can be, versus I can also sit in just focusing on them, right? Like, you can get so complacent with just making sure that they're living their best life. And it's interesting, and maybe this is just a boy mom feel, I don't know, But I encourage them, like, follow your dreams, do what you want to do, be who you want to do. What is like the massive thing that you're just so on fire for life? Like, let's tune into that more, right? And one of my sons was like a bitch slapped to the face, was like, Mom, so is your dream just to be like typing all day and working for like insurance company? I'm like, no. And that, my friends, is one of the key points of my life when I said, okay, I can't encourage you to follow your dreams, live your best life, do your damn thing, if I'm not setting an example of how that should look like, of how to accomplish that. You know, so a lot of my life, I had to start changing. I had to start breaking down, what do I like? What do I not like? What is my purpose? Like, going into all of the things to figure out what it is that I wanted from life, because that, my friends, is not what I wanted. Although I love writing. So technically, yeah, typing is my thing. But in a different way. It's not just, what is expected. It's not just working for someone else. It's not the 9 to 5. It's a different perspective. It's a different view of it. But if you work a 9 to 5 and you love it, then that is for you, my sister. That is for you. I am not knocking that in any way, shape, or form. I just wanted to do a little like open conversation about motherhood, share some stories, some tips, some advice to let you know that you're not alone. Like, this is one of the most difficult things I've ever done in my life, and that is becoming a mom. It starts at a very young point when your baby is still in your tummy and they're still swimming around and doing their thing. And it's so many bumps and bruises and hills and climbing and changes and evolutions and all of the things. Insert all of the dramatic words there, because every single day is different. There's a new obstacle, there is a new growth period, there is a new challenge that arises. And I think the most beautiful thing about it is that if you look at it as that's how life itself is for us, then it makes everything easier. I tell my boys, like, this is the first time I've ever parented, so I may not do everything right. And that is what we're doing together, is figuring out what is right. Motherhood is one of the most difficult, draining things ever, but it's also one of the most inspiring, motivating, and uplifting things. Fulfilling things, something that is definitely purpose-filled, right? And so I hope that you truly start to look at your motherhood in a different light, and or just start appreciating every single day that you are given. There are millions of women in the world who wish they could be mothers, and they may never be. I never had that problem, and it breaks my heart for all of you who have gone through loss. I won't even get started because I'll start crying. I feel for you. I pray for you. I am here for you, all of the things for you, because I could not even imagine having to go through that. I hope that on this Mother's Day, that you can feel peace, that you can feel hope, that you can keep carrying on and live your best life, because you deserve to. I hope that you've been enjoying the Ash Prieto show, where I just get real, honest, and outrageously crazy for you. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. I hope you take some time out to really just escape your motherhood and pat yourself on the back, pat your friends on the back, pat your sisters, your moms, your aunts, your grandmas, your everyone, because this is a journey that is not easy, and yet it's one that we can all bond over and share stories about. So I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. I hope you've laughed a little bit. I hope you have, well, don't cry. I hope that you've laughed. I hope that you've gotten some stress relief, and I hope you took a little motherly escape for yourself during this time with your girl Ash. If you haven't already, please make sure that you subscribe, because I am a wild card and who knows when I'm going to be posting things, and I don't want you to miss any episodes. And until next time, friends,